think they should have gotten in, right? And vice versa, the whole thing. So let's just dive into it. Let's talk about the games today real quick and the conference championships and kind of get everybody's taking the chat on this. And I just want to lay this out real fast. Here are the conference championship matchups today on ABC at 12 noon Eastern time. These are all Eastern time. You got the number 11 BYU. They're 11-1 against Texas Tech. They are number 4, and they're 11-1. So that Big 12 championship there is going to be really interesting. If BYU wins that game, that could end up knocking Notre Dame out. We'll show you the college football bracket here in a minute, but that could end up knocking Notre Dame out if BYU somehow wins that game. If Texas Tech wins that game, that probably knocks BYU any hopes of them getting into the college football playoff out of the picture. Again, Texas Tech is the team that I think has gotten the least amount of love all year. They've pretty much done everything they possibly can. I'm excited to see how they stack up against some of these other teams in the playoff if they do. They will make the playoff. I think it's pretty much a slam dunk. But moving on to the 4 o'clock game on ABC, you've got the SEC championship. The number 3 Georgia Bulldogs, they're 11-1 versus the number 9 Alabama Crimson Tide, who are 10-2. Again, SEC championship, it's already pretty much common knowledge that even if Alabama loses to Georgia, it's going to be the committee's going to be hard pressed to knock them out of the playoffs, right? They'll probably make the playoffs whether they win or lose this game, which is wild to think about. They'll finish with 3 losses, right? And I think I want to say Notre Dame has 2 losses. I'm not 100% sure right offhand here. Of course, we're just talking conference championships here. But nonetheless, Georgia's pretty much in, right? They're going to be in regardless. Will Alabama fall out of it? I just don't see them. I don't see the committee saying that the second best team in the SEC isn't going to make the playoffs. So I think they'll be in, right? Moving on to the 8 o'clock window, Fox. You've got the number 2 Indiana Hoosiers against the number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes. All right. Both of these teams are undefeated. It's wild that this game isn't getting talked about more down here in the South, in my opinion. The SEC championships where College Game Day was. It is a huge matchup. Georgia, Bama, I got you. But the number 1 team versus the number 2 team in the Big Ten championship, this game right here is going to be very interesting. Can Indiana keep up with Ohio State? Does Ohio State just go out there and boat race Indiana? It's going to be really, really interesting to see who comes out on top there for sure. And then, of course, some of the games that many people don't care about, obviously the ACC championship here in the 8 o'clock window on ABC, 7-5 Duke against 10-2 Virginia. Virginia is 17th, and Duke is unranked. Anybody in the ACC that's screaming that they should, that the Notre Dame should have to join a conference and this and that, it blows my mind. It's like ACC fans have no reason to no talking point at all. I mean, you've got a 7-5 team playing for the conference championship, right? And again, if Virginia wins that game, there's no chance they're getting in the playoffs. I think we would all agree. So there's really no, it's just kind of like, yeah, sure, it's a conference, but does it really matter? The ACC is so down with Clemson's demise for sure. And then, of course, yesterday you had 24 North Texas versus number 20 Tulane. Tulane won pretty handily there, 34-21. Back to Kyle Andretti and what he said about Tulane there earlier. Again, they're 11-2. They're 7-0 at home. They finished the season. They did pretty much everything they could do for the most part. I mean, you could have went undefeated and punched your ticket into the playoffs, obviously. But, again, Tulane definitely going to be on the outside looking in. And that's the thing, too, not on the outside looking in, because you've got these conferences, right, and how that comes into play and all that good stuff. So we'll take a look at the bracket here in a second. Troy at James Madison. Some people were saying, man, James Madison should be in, right? That they kind of punched their ticket. They should be in there. So, again, it just depends on how you look at it, right? And again, you're going to have some of these conference championships that's going to decide some stuff as well, like your conference champ number 5, conference champ number 4. And it kind of talks a little bit in this other article on, what really comes into play in terms of which conference champions should be in and all that good stuff. So, again, some of the smaller conferences, that's where we're running into problems is they're getting a pass even though they're in a smaller conference. It's like, I don't know, man. I can't get on board with just because they won their conference, they should be in the playoffs. To me, it should be the 12 best teams in the country, right? So that's just kind of a quick look at what's happened in the conference championships and what's on tap today. Anyway, boy, that went full screen. That was real awkward, right? Let's jump into now this playoff bracket, at least the most recent one that we have here through ESPN in the college playoff bracket. Bang! Here's what we're looking at right now. Let's see what Kyle says here. Kyle says, yeah, Indiana, Ohio State will be very interesting. It should be a good game, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I think everybody's kind of pulling, other than Ohio State fans. I think everybody's kind of pulling for Indiana, right? You want to see them pull that upset. That would be absolutely awesome. So when we look at the bracket here, okay, this is a 12 team CFP bracket based on current rankings. This was as of December 2nd was the best I could get. So obviously you get your conference champs in here. That's going to play a role in that. There's got to be an updated version of this, right? Let's go updated college football uh, playoff ranking here. And again, we're just kind of hanging out here. Nothing too strict. I'm trying to see if anybody has given kind of their prediction here. Here we go. This is what we got. This is what we need right here, gents. Let's throw this up. Evidently, there is an updated version, I believe. So this one is as of actually, no, that was a little earlier. So yeah, we're kind of screwed on this. I was trying to see if anybody had any kind of graphic that showed like an updated look, the most recent. It looks like the most recent from ESPN site was the one we just showed you. But sometimes, here we go, 2 hours ago. This is from the NCAA's website, looks like. So let's see if we can get it. All right, let's see here. Give me just 1 second. Let's break this down real quick. I think this, of course, this is loaded with ads. This looks like probably the most updated version. So let's get this out of here and let's pop this up on the screen here, see what we think. I want to get everybody's take in the chat as well. How do you guys feel about how this bracket looks? See if we can get zoomed in enough to actually get just in here on the bracket. All right, here we go. And again, it's just absolute madness. It says December 2nd is what the date that it's got on it here. It's not even showing, yeah, so it still doesn't show the other teams as well. Some people were saying like Tulane and all this good stuff. So, yeah, Indiana and Ohio State, like you said, will be a great one. Kyle Andretti says, might sound dumb for asking, but this is the AAC, or is the AAC a good conference or not a good conference? If you're talking about ACC, I'm assuming, right? ACC is like one of those conferences that they were strong a few years ago when Clemson, Florida State. Now that those teams have fell off, it's like that used to be who they kind of hung their hat on, right? That was the teams that they really built their conference around. But anyway, when you look at the playoffs and how everything kind of could unfold here with the most recent brackets and everything, so what you'll end up having is these other conferences. And then once they get that updated with the official bracket, which will drop tomorrow, Sunday at 12 p.m., we'll know how the playoffs sit. It's going to be interesting. So the way it sits, the most recent one was number 1, Ohio State, right? You got number 2, Indiana. So they get the first round bye along with Georgia and Texas Tech. Okay. And it looks like the first matchups that we're showing is, if we go by seeding ranking, number 5, Oregon will face a conference champ who would be the number 12 team. The number 6, Ole Miss would face number 11, which would be another conference champ. And then you got 7, Texas A&M hosting Notre Dame. Again, not so fast, man. Don't be surprised if that changes up, right? I would not be surprised if Notre Dame falls out of the playoffs. Even being a Notre Dame fan, like I said, I hope they get in, but I understand why they would not get in there. Number 8, Oklahoma hosting number 9, Alabama. Of course, we got the conference championships coming up. So all that is going to be, he said he meant ACC. All this is going to come into factor, obviously, as we get a little closer to the playoffs. It's just amazing that nobody's got a projection. Like, I'm going to try one more time here, college football playoff projection, and see if we got anybody who's got a graphic of where they think it'll be. Sporting News, ESPN, predicting here. That's 5 days ago. Yeah, so nobody's really updated to the best of my knowledge here. So again, I wanted to see kind of what it looked like with some of these smaller schools that are going to get in, but that's all right. See Professor Cakes in the chat. It's great, or I'm sorry, it's crazy how IU is so good now. I was at the Hoosiers versus Buckeyes game in Bloomington years ago when the Buckeyes had Stroud, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and JSN, and now look, IU is a top 3 team. We talk about it a lot on this channel, the most important aspects of an NFL team, and the same thing I think applies in college. 2 things, man, are the most important parts of your organization, college or pro. That is head coach and quarterback. What does IU have? Cignetti, head coach. Again, they went out and they got what they thought was the best candidate, and I think they knocked it out of the park. In Cignetti, that changed everything with IU. and you got Fernando Mendoza. You guys remember when we were breaking down some of the early offseason stuff, right? When we were breaking down some of the early offseason talk, and okay, here are the projected top prospects. You guys remember the quarterbacks that were mentioned? I mean, you had people like Lenoris Sellers, right? Garrett Nussmeyer, Drew Alar. I'm trying to think, Cade Klubnik, right? Or Klubnik, however you pronounce his name. Those are some of the guys, kind of like Carson Beck last year was like the top prospect. And then he sank like a rock. And then he transfers to Miami. Now he's sitting around the 150 mark. We'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, what now with the updated rankings, Fernando Mendoza is projected to be the top quarterback taken. You got a guy, Dante Moore with Oregon that wasn't even mentioned before. Now all of a sudden he's, second behind Fernando Mendoza. So again, the reason I mention that, Professor Cakes, is because all it takes is a head coach and a quarterback. That you get those two pieces in place, you're good to go. Right now, you can build the program around that. And I know Fernando Mendoza wasn't there in starting games when Cignetti first took over, but that's why they're so good now, right? Quarterback, head coach. That's the big change there, man. The pieces